They always tell you to get a hobby when you're lonely. For me, it was old televisions, CRTs, tube, rabbit ear antennas, the kind of junk everyone else threw away when the world went digital. I told myself I liked restoring them, that it was nostalgia, but really, I think it was more about control. In a world that keeps moving, I like the idea that I could turn a few knobs and bring the past back to life. My apartment looks like a graveyard for forgotten broadcasts, piles of flickering screens, each humming a different shade of static. Most nights it's just me, the buzz of the tubes, and the faint smell of burnt dust. Then came the night when I found it. I was testing an old Zenith, heavy thing about the size of a coffin lid. I hooked it up to a converter, twisted the tuning dial, and started flipping through the channels. Nothing but white noise, dead air, and static snow. Then, somewhere around channels 18 and 20, I heard something. A faint hiss that wasn't static. It was patterned, rhythmic, like breathing. I adjusted the fine tune knob and the static shifted, forming these faint shapes. It was a room dimly lit, a figure standing in the corner facing the wall. No sound, no color, just this blurry black and white image pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. At first, I thought it was a broadcast, loop or lost analog feed, but then the figure moved, slowly, jerkily, like someone trying to remember how to use their limbs. I froze, my hand still on the turning dial, and when the figure turned, the face, if you could call it that, it was out of focus, distorted by static lines, but it looked wrong, like a reflection stretched too wide. It stared at the camera, or maybe it stared through the camera, and then the screen went black. That night I couldn't really sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that static figure, its head twitching, its body shifting in grainy light. The next evening I tried again. I told myself that I just imagined it. Maybe it was a signal bounce or ghost frequency. But when I turned the zenith back on, channel 19 was still there. This time the figure was closer. I could see the room better. Cracked wallpaper, a flickering light bulb, an old wooden chair, and the figure, it was sitting down, facing the screen, facing me. When I leaned forward, it did too, almost instantly, like it anticipated the movement. I lifted my hand and so did it. I whispered, "Can you hear me?" And I swear to God, the lips on the screen moved before mine did. Over the next few days, I stopped leaving my apartment. Work didn't matter anymore. Sleep didn't matter. All I wanted to do was understand what Channel 19 was. I tried recording it, but the footage never saved. The feed only existed live, like it didn't want to be remembered. I even posted on an old message board for analog hobbyists asking if anyone had heard of Channel 19. Someone replied, "Don't tune it, it's not broadcasting. It's looking," whatever that meant. In any case, the post had vanished an hour later. By the fifth night, things started to leak. Other screens in my apartments, one that weren't even plugged in, began showing faint static. I could hear whispers from speakers, faint and layered like multiple voices speaking at the same sentence with different timing. When I turned my head, I could swear the shadows shifted just slightly as if the static itself was alive, crawling along the edges of my vision. And then I saw something that broke me. On the sixth night, the figure on Channel 19 was no longer alone. There were others, dozens of them, pressed against the walls, twitching in slow, unnatural motion, their faces blurred, melting into the static, but their outlines were human. And in the center, the original figure was holding something, a camcorder. It lifted the camera, pointed it directly at me, and then the feed split into two screens. On the left, the broadcast, and on the right, my apartment. I watched, frozen, as the figure on Channel 19 turned the camera, and there I was, sitting in front of Zenith, watching myself. After that, I don't remember much clearly. I know I smashed the converter, tried cutting the cable, tried cutting the power to the whole building, but every time I walked past a screen, a phone, a TV, even a reflection in microwave, I could see the static flickering. And if I stood still long enough, I could see shapes in it, faces forming, eyes, too many of them, staring. The last thing I remember before blacking out was the sound of static crawling up my ears like whispers inside my skull. They tell me I was found 2 days later in my apartment. The power was out, every screen dead except for one, the Zenith. It was still tuned to Channel 19, and on it they said there was a recording, a man sitting in front of a TV, staring into the camera. They said the man's lips were moving like he was whispering something over and over, but the investigators couldn't make out the words because when they tried to play back the tape, all they heard was static. Stay safe out there, wolf packs.